welcome to the Momversation Club, the podcast born out of the idea that every mum needs a tribe. I'm Claire Strong.
And I'm Christina Struckmeyer. We're two moms just like you, navigating the chaotic, challenging, and often isolating world of motherhood.
Now, it's said that it takes a village to raise a child, but we want to know, where the F is that village?
Yep, it's a question that resonates with so many of us who find ourselves raising children, managing careers, and trying to maintain our own identities, often with a sense of isolation.
But we're here to remind you that you're not alone. The Momversation Club is your village, a place where you feel valued, appreciated, and understood.
We believe that by sharing our own experiences, success, and struggles, we can create a virtual village for all you amazing moms out there.
Yep, so join us every week for honest, raw, and relatable discussion about all aspects of being a mum, including the stuff you just can't talk about with anyone else.
So if you've ever asked yourself, where the F is the village, then you found your tribe. So let's get into it.
Hi, Christina.
Hey, Claire, how are you?
I am good. And can I just say, first of all, I love your hair.
Thank you.
It's looking gorgeous. My gosh, you're on fire.
Thank you so much. I got it done this week. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast, Claire's referencing that I have chopped off a significant amount of my hair, and I've dyed it a very, I would say, kind of lived-in brunette is what I'm calling it. It's like a natural brunette color, and I love it. My husband, I was worried he was not going to notice there was a change, because you know men.
Oh God!
Sometimes you come home,
every
you
time
change something, you're like, "Hello,"
I know.
and they're like, "What have you changed?"
Hi. Yeah.
But he noticed. He noticed right away. He was like, "I like it." I was like, "Yay!"
Well, I love it. It really suits you. I just think the color's great. And you've got such pretty eyes, and it just really brings your eyes out. I love it, Christina. You look great.
Claire, you're the sweetest.
Oh, it's true.
Well, I figure I give myself a little early Mother's Day gift, just in case.
Just in case the husband isn't quite with it.
Well, speaking of, happy early Mother's Day to you.
Yes,
I'm so excited to be hosting our first Mother's Day episode as podcasters.
Oh my gosh, it is our first Mother's Day episode, isn't it? I'd not even thought of that, of course. Because we only launched in October, Christina. It seems like we've been going forever, but we haven't. We're still pretty new, aren't we?
We are. And I knew that when we started a podcast about moms, that this would be kind of an obviously we have to have an episode about Mother's Day. Like, that is part of our whole thing.
It absolutely is. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this Mother's Day, actually. Have you got any plans?
Yeah, I do. I learned, my husband and I have been together for 3 years, and we've been married for 2, and it'll be 3 in January. And it'll be 3 years married in January. And I learned early on that I just need to say what my expectations are right away. And that way I don't put myself in a space where I'm going to be, feeling disappointed or whatever. I don't like to manage my own Mother's Day. I don't like to make all the plans myself, but I give him some direction, just, hey, here's a very brass idea of what I want, a breakdown. You fill in the other parts with things that you feel would be good.
Okay, that's good. So you're giving some suggestion and direction without having to micromanage the day. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think would happen if you just left him to his own device? What would happen if you left him to his own devices, though? Would he still come up trumps or not really?
Here's the thing about me.
Yeah.
I do not have a poker face at all. Whatever I'm thinking is on my face, at all times. So it really gets me into trouble, because if I leave him unchecked and he maybe gets a gift for me that I don't like, it's all over my face.
Yeah.
And so, and then I don't lie well, and so he can tell that I don't like whatever he's presented. We actually had a situation on Valentine's Day where he bought me a really wonderful Valentine's Day gift, but I specifically said to him, I will be so happy on Valentine's Day if I just get this specific type of chocolate. I very specifically told him what kind of chocolate. I said, anything else is gravy on top, but the main thing is the chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Well, for whatever reason, as I'm opening my gifts, I fully expected the chocolate to be in my
Oh,
hands, and that chocolate wasn't there. But there was also some really nice gifts that he gave me. Like,
okay.
but I couldn't see that because my face was like, where the hell is my chocolate?
Oh no! And did he realize?
So
Did he pick up on that?
yeah. And
Oh.
he was like, well, I got you these other things. Did you? I'm like, but my chocolate though.
I don't care about the
So
Mercedes Benz on the driveway. I
no,
asked for
when
this type of chocolate.
it was a very specific. I like the Rocky Road fudge from See's Candy. I
Oh,
really love it.
nice.
I love marshmallows and chocolates and nuts. And so he did the next day, though, go to a place that has chocolates and got me like a very similar one and left it on the counter and didn't say anything.
Oh, well, that's sweet. At least he knew his mistake.
He's the best. He's the
Yeah,
best.
he
But
is
yeah, so
sweet.
I like to give him
Okay.
some direction on these holidays so that way I'm not, putting myself in a situation where my face is going to do the face thing. I mean, what about you, Claire? Do you set your own Mother's Day up? Like, what do you typically do?
Well, first of all, I need to point out that one of the big benefits of being from the UK but living in the US is that I get 2 Mother's Days because Mother's
That's
Day in
right.
England is in March. So this is now round 2 for me. But
Jealous.
so I'm excited this year because so we went. It was our wedding anniversary the other week, and we went out for this fantastic meal at my favorite restaurant in San Diego. And while we were there, I noticed they'd got a sign up saying a Mother's Day brunch. Now it's pretty pricey. It's pretty pricey. So I
Yeah.
said to Kyle, what about, why don't we do that for Mother's Day? You don't need to get me a present. We'll do that instead. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to my favorite restaurant with the
Aw.
girls for a fancy brunch. So that's great. Because honestly, yeah, I mean, I love gift cards. That's the usual thing he'll get me. He'll get me like a gift card for a spa, which is fantastic. I mean, I kind of still like that too, but I can't be greedy.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. But usually we would do something like go out for brunch. He'll say, where do you want to go out for brunch? And we'll do that on Mother's Day. And then he'll usually get me a gift card from the girls or some Kendra Scott earrings. In fact, I think these are probably from Mother's Day last year. The earrings I've got on now, these little pearl ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
pretty.
So that's the typical thing we do on Mother's Day, but I am looking forward to this Mother's Day because of where we're going for brunch.
That sounds so fun. Yeah, my bare bones like outline for this Mother's Day is I let Alex know I've been thinking a lot about like the way I want my kids to remember me. This is such a weird thing. Like I get really like I have moments where I'm like, when I'm an old lady, I'm like thinking ahead.
Okay.
And one of the things I realized is that I know my grandmother from like a smell that she had, like a perfume.
Yes. Yeah.
And when I smell like a certain cookie or when I smell her perfume, I think of my grandma.
Yes.
And so I was like, I really want to have like a signature scent that my children will like remember is mine. And I don't wear perfume.
Okay.
And so our Mother's Day plans are we're going to go to like a Sephora or an Ulta or something and figure out what my signature scent is.
Oh, I love that. So I'm kind of a little like that with perfume. I do like perfume, and my favorite one, it's an old one actually. It's Angel. It's been around for years, and some people don't love it because it's very sweet. But I kind of like that vanilla smell.
It's Angel from what?
Oh God, I've totally forgotten the name. I'm gonna have to go and get the bottle now.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, it's called Angel. I love it. I mean, I like other ones too, but I discovered that when I was like 18 or something. And so that's what.
And you've been wearing it ever since.
Yeah, it's one of my go-tos. I've got a couple of others too. There's a Dior one that I think is fantastic, or an Yves Saint Laurent one, which is great. But this Angel is the one that I tend to wear, and it's very distinctive. It's very sweet, and same thing. I want the girls and even Kyle to kind of know that that's my scent. So yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, and have and just like feel a little bit more dressed. And I want my husband to be part of it because I want him to really like it too. Like I want it to be something I like, something he enjoys smelling because he's the one that's going to be like kissing my neck and being all up close with it.
That's so cute.
So yeah. We're going to do that. And then I said lunch somewhere. I would love to go to lunch somewhere after that. But he gets to pick.
Yeah, I mean, I just want food to be included in any special occasion.
Yes,
it's my thing. I live for food. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I love that we both kind of set up like, hey, this is kind of what we want, because I think that for Mother's Day, it isn't always such a welcoming holiday for everyone. I know for a lot of people, it can be a day where you get excited and hyped up to be celebrated, and maybe you aren't, or there's some disappointment that comes in, or like expectations aren't being met, or maybe you say, hey, I want to do this thing, and then that thing doesn't even happen for you. I mean, I have a lot of friends that Mother's Day has become kind of like a loaded holiday
Yeah.
where fights happen
Oh,
afterwards
geez. What,
with the spouses and
between
stuff.
the adults, or between? Yeah,
Yeah, like
really.
where, I have a good friend of mine who's, now divorced. Like, I'm not saying Mother's Day was the reason, but like one of many reasons. And when she was married, her ex-husband used to always miss he'd always just miss the whole thing. Like, he
Uh,
did not celebrate her the way that she should have been celebrated, to the point where one Mother's Day, he bought her such a wretched gift, that I literally went to the store and I picked her up like some Mother's Day gifts and put it on her porch,
oh my
because she
God, that's so
deserved to be
sweet.
celebrated,
You're such a good
but he
friend,
wasn't doing
Christina.
it.
So let's talk about
I
that.
love my friends hard. I love my friends real hard, and I want to make sure everybody, because we deserve to be celebrated. This
Yeah.
is a day for us as
Yeah.
moms.
Well, listen, let's just talk a little bit more about that, because you and I have both been single parents, and I kind of can appreciate what you were saying about your friend, because, I don't think that my ex-husband necessarily celebrated me as much as I felt I deserved to be celebrated. So, Mother's Days
Yeah.
were a bit of a letdown then. And then when I was on my own, I also didn't have a partner to celebrate me. So my mum did that. So, my mum would get something from the girls. She'd get them cards that they'd like, sign their name on because they were little at the time. And then she'd get me
Yeah.
chocolates or something from the girls. So my mum would step into that role. I think it's important, especially if you're on your own or you've got friends that are on your own, if you don't have that partner, um, because that usually Mother's Day kind of defaults to them traditionally. But
Yeah.
if that person isn't
Yeah.
there, you can get forgotten about. And if you've got younger kids, they can't exactly go out and buy you something. And so it is down to the adult.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really nice gesture that you did for your friend. And I think if we've got friends out there that are on their own, we should step in for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that very friend, this is her first Mother's Day as a single mom. And I did mention that to her. I said, this holiday sneaks up on you as a single mom.
Yeah.
There are very few holidays that, it's like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, that there's certain ones that really do hit different when you're a single mom and you're not having that person next to you. And even if the guy was a dud and didn't do good things before, you should set yourself up to like be okay that day. I'm a big fan of looking ahead at obstacles and then, trying to get in front of it. So I just told her, you may feel like it's not going to be a big deal, but I promise you should probably plan something for yourself. Like, do something like go to a spa, get your nails done, like do something for you,
Yeah.
because you deserve to be celebrated even if there isn't this partner that's going to do it for you.
Yeah, so I have another thing I want to add here. I love Mother's Day. I know, some cynical people may say, oh, it's just, a corporate thing, a money making thing. And I get that. I know there's a lot of money to be made when it comes to Mother's Day. But I
Sure.
do like the fact that it is a day that we are, supposed to be celebrated. That said, Christina, what happens the 364 rest of the days of the year? Because I do feel that although we are celebrated on this day, the rest of the year, our efforts and sacrifice can go totally unnoticed by our partners, by our
Sure.
kids. And it's like, what do you think I do the rest of the year? And I don't get any appreciation for that. So I would like that little bit of Mother's Day appreciation to be spread across the other 364 days. So, us
Yeah.
mums don't feel like we're just kind of used and abused. If I want to,
I
use a bit
propose
of a
every
phrase.
Tuesday is Mother's
Oh
Day.
yeah, I'm all over that. I mean, I'd go as far as to say every
Uh,
day, but I don't mean that we need to be, getting gifts and showered with expensive things. I'm just talking about. I still feel that mums are overlooked, and our sacrifices and the stuff that we do, they're just not valued in the way that they should be by the people around us quite often as well. And so, yeah, that's just my take on it. I mean, I love Mother's Day, but I do wish we got a little bit more appreciation the rest of the year too. Christina, the other aspect to all of this is, Mother's Day is a really hard day for some people. It could be because,
Yeah.
they've lost their mum. And so they don't have their mum around to celebrate Mother's Day with. It could be that they're estranged from their mum. I mean, not everyone has a great relationship with their mum, so it could be that.
Yeah.
It could be that they maybe have lost a baby, or that they can't get pregnant, or God forbid, they don't want kids and they feel this, pressure from society to have children. So I think we do need to be sensitive to the fact that, as wonderful as Mother's Day can be, it can also be a day that's wrought with anxiety and sadness for a lot of women.
Yeah, and then just keeping out an eye out for your friends and family that might not be having a positive experience. Like I mentioned earlier, I had that friend who was going through a hard time with her husband. I kind of knew that. I kind of knew that he might F it up. And so I kind of had my backup
Yeah.
plan of maybe supporting her in different ways. Or, like bonus moms sometimes don't get celebrated. So thinking about your friends that might not get exactly a Mother's Day gift from someone. And I love, one person that always steps in the gaps of those is teachers. I just want to take a minute
Yeah.
to thank all the teachers who create the cutest Mother's Day crafts. And so they do a lot of checking in. I got a letter last year that was like, what does your family look like? Because it was like, well, we want to know if it's grandma and mom in the household, or maybe an aunt, or maybe there's like a different dynamic in the house. Maybe there's two moms, so we just don't know. So they wanted to know what
Yeah.
our family looked like.
Yeah. And I guess Mother's Day, we should be celebrating all the women in our lives, because it may not be that they're our mum, but, women are very, very important influences in our lives. And so, like you say, it could be a teacher, it could be another relative, it could be just a family friend, someone that's, had your back and who's guided you. I mean, have you got that type of woman in your life, someone that's really inspired
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah, I have kind of a collaborative motherhood experience in my background, because it's not just one woman; it's several women. I have my mother, of course, who is just probably one of the strongest people I know. Has gone through so much in her life and has really picked herself up over and over and over again. And I've really loved how she always kind of believed in me, even from a little age, of just being like, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, you really can. And I believed her. I was like, yeah, I can, my grandmother, who, alongside my mom, raised me because my mom was really young. So she was kind of like a mom. I'd go to the store with her, and my grandma's in her 30s at the time. And she looks like my mom. And so, it was a lot of like her taking me on things, and being that mother figure in places where my mom didn't really, she wasn't able to like meet the mark. And then, as much as I've talked about her on here in a negative light sometimes, my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law. She's very, very sweet. And I think that a lot of our back and forth stuff and things that have come into play on the podcast and outside the podcast and therapy, has been because she just really loves hard. And I
Yeah.
don't know if I ever received the kind of love that she gives out ever. And she just really comes in and just surrounds you with like guidance and wisdom, whether you want it or not. And she just really wraps her arms around you. And so she's become like a mother-like figure in my life, and someone I look to for, advice and wisdom. So it's like it's a collective of women. What about you, Claire? I know you've talked about your mom and kind of the support she's offered you through your life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for me, my mum's always been my number one fan. She lives so far away from me now, which I know really, really bothers her. Although she just wants me to live my best life. I think that's the big takeaway from my mum. she's always just wanted me to live my best life. And whether that's meant that I'm living halfway across the world from her, she's okay with that. She'd rather me do that than live next door to her and for me to be unhappy or feel unfulfilled. So yeah,
Yeah.
my mom's my biggest fan. She's always supported me in whatever I've wanted to do, all the crazy things, all the crazy situations I've got myself into over the years. I can't be normal, and my mom's okay with that. She doesn't want me to be normal. She just wants me to be happy, and she wants me to go and live my dream in whatever shape that takes it. So my mom's definitely my number one fan. um but another lady who has really guided me over the years, who's been my second mum, was actually my dancing teacher, my ballet teacher. I call her Auntie June because actually she and my mum used to dance together when they were children. And then
Oh,
she taught me, and then she also taught my girls before we moved over here. She's just recently retired. But yeah, her name's June Burns. And oh God, some of the stuff that I got into as a teenager, I felt I couldn't tell my mum because she'd be too angry with me. So I'd tell June instead. And so she was like my confidant. I'm sure I put her in some terrible situations actually, because she's thinking like, oh my God, I really need to tell your mum. But then I didn't tell your mum because then you're not going to tell me again. So
no, she's got to keep the door open.
yeah, so I need to remember that one when I'm dealing with my teens now. But yeah, so
Yeah.
she was just, she actually didn't have children of her own. But she really did step into the role of second mum to me. She believed in me, and it was always a judge-free zone. But I think part of that is as well, when you're not the mother of a child, you can step back a little bit. When you're so close to a situation, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the two women in my life that I would say have made the most kind of impact, and who have both been my biggest supporters. But mentioned mother-in-laws. I do have a really nice mother-in-law now as well,
Yeah.
which I didn't have in my first marriage. That relationship wasn't close, and it was. It wasn't the easiest of relationships. And actually I don't have any we don't have anything to do with each other anymore. So the fact that
Yeah.
I feel I have like a proper mother-in-law is nice, someone who takes an active interest in the kids. And her and I text each other, which I never had that relationship with my mother-in-law previously, my ex-mother-in-law. So that's nice. So yeah, shout out to her too. I mean,
Yeah.
she
Shout
doesn't
out
we
to the
can't
people we
shout
love. I
shout
love
out to
this.
her. I mean, none of these women unfortunately live close to me, so the relationships I have with them are pretty virtual for the most part. But yeah, I think it's so important to have positive women around us as women, because I think so women get each other in a way
They
that
do.
guys just can't.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, something that I'm hearing from you describing your relationship with your dance teacher is that you don't have to be a mom to be motherly, to be guidance for someone, to be a mother-like
Totally.
figure.
Yeah.
And what's cool is most of our audience is moms. Like, let's just be
Yeah.
honest. Like, if you're
Yeah.
listening to
Yeah.
the
Sure.
Momversation Club, you're
Yeah.
probably a mom. And you have the opportunity to be that person for someone, or maybe you already are that person for someone. I think about our little girls and as they grow and what Mother's Day is going to mean to them and how they're going to think of us and like what types of things they might say. And I think about my friends and how much they've inspired me in my own motherhood. I could go on and on about all the women in my life who inspire, and I take little bits of their motherhood and kind of mesh it into my motherhood and build
Yeah.
something that's mine. But it's really a piece from everyone.
So you made a great point there. I was thinking when we initially, discussed this topic today, the motherly women in my life, the motherly figures. But then you've just made a great point. I have, friends around me who are such an inspiration to me. Most of them are mums, but they're challenging themselves to, be entrepreneurs, and they also have kids, and they're going through their own stuff, and maybe one of them's
Yeah.
going through a career change. But they're all inspiring, so they don't necessarily have to be motherly figures to us to inspire us, both as women and as mums. And one thing I find myself doing a lot, and I recently told her this, my sister-in-law, she, I think, is just such a great mother. She has 4 kids, ranging in like ages from 10 to almost 25. So there's quite an age range.
Yeah.
And I do find myself quite often thinking, what would Catherine do in this situation? How would she handle this situation? So
WWKD.
yeah, exactly. So shout out to Catherine, my sister-in-law. She's another woman that,
Oh,
inspires me. She's so kind, and I know my girls think the world of her. So if I
yeah.
can be half as kind as you, Catherine, I'd be happy.
Well,
Oh, I'm
I
getting
think
sad
for
now.
I know. And for our listeners, we just appreciate you for listening. And we want to just wish you such a happy Mother's Day. I hope you take the time to really sit with the fact that you are such an amazing mom and you do so much for so many people. And the work that you do maybe doesn't get noticed every day, like Claire pointed out earlier. We don't get the daily holiday, but it matters. You matter. And, we appreciate you. We appreciate you for what you do and also for listening and hearing what we have to say over here on the Momversation Club.
We love you guys. And just a final shout out to our editor, Megan, who we
Yes.
honestly couldn't do this show without you, Megan. But Megan's a mum too. And she is just, she's just been such a supporter of me over the years since I moved over here. And she's, whatever crazy projects I've brought her way, she's always been, okay, Claire, I'll help you with it. And this is another one of those crazy projects, but one that's so worthwhile. And so, Megan, our editor, thank you for everything you do. You're a wonderful person. You're a wonderful mom. I love you so much. So thank you to you too.
Yep. Happy Mother's Day, guys.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Momversation Club.
And if you've enjoyed today's show, which we hope you have, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach even more moms and build a stronger village.
Until next time, bye.